London, 1977. In a modest little house on Green Street, an ordinary family suddenly found themselves at the center of one of the most infamous hauntings in history. Strange knocks echoed through the walls, heavy furniture slid across the floor, and a deep, terrifying voice growled from the throat of an 11-year-old girl. Police officers, journalists, even seasoned paranormal investigators all claimed to have witnessed the chaos firsthand. The press called it the Enfield Nightmare, while ghost hunters insisted it was undeniable proof of a poltergeist, a violent spirit bent on torment. But the question has haunted people for nearly half a century. Was this truly one of the best documented cases of supernatural activity ever recorded? Or was it nothing more than an elaborate hoax, cleverly staged by frightened children and amplified by a sensationalist media? Tonight, we revisit the terrifying story of the Enfield Poltergeist, a case that still leaves us wondering whether the truth lies in the realm of the paranormal or in the darkest corners of human imagination. It all started on the night of August 30th, 1977. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother raising 4 children in a council house at 284 Green Street in Enfield, heard strange knocking sounds coming from her daughter's bedroom. At first, she assumed it was just the pipes rattling, or maybe a mouse scratching in the walls. But when she opened the door, she froze. Her daughters, Janet, 11, and Margaret, 13, were pale and trembling on the bed. Across the room, the heavy wardrobe was sliding forward, on its own. Peggy rushed to push it back against the wall, but she later swore something invisible was pushing back. Terrified, she grabbed her children and ran to the neighbors. That night, the police were called. Among the officers who responded was WPC Carolyn Heaps. She expected nothing unusual, maybe a prank. But what she saw made headlines. As she entered the living room, a chair suddenly slid several feet across the floor, without anyone touching it. She later signed a sworn affidavit. It moved about a meter across the room. I checked for wires, tricks. There were none. I have no logical explanation. With that, the Hodgson home became ground zero for a storm of media attention. Neighbors gathered outside, reporters swarmed the street, and inside, the family endured night after night of terror. Loud bangs, toys flying through the air, doors slamming, and whispers in the dark. Before long, it became clear that the activity centered around Janet. Witnesses claimed they saw her lifted off the bed and even hurled across the room by some unseen force. Photographers captured chilling images. Janet suspended in midair, her face twisted in terror. Skeptics would later argue she was simply jumping or falling, but others insisted the photos were undeniable proof of levitation. Even more disturbing was the voice. A deep, gravelly male voice began to speak, through Janet. Over time, it held lengthy conversations, cursing, mocking, even growling like an animal. When asked, "Who are you?" the voice replied, "My name is Bill. I died in this house." Later, the Hodgsons discovered that a man named Bill Wilkins had indeed once lived at 284 Green Street and had died there. The case drew the attention of the Society for Psychical Research, SPR. 2 of its members, Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, moved into the house for extended periods. They recorded hundreds of hours of audio, documenting everything from eerie knocks to the terrifying Bill voice that seemed to tear from Janet's throat. One of their conclusions was that no child could physically sustain such a voice for hours without damaging her vocal cords. Playfair would later insist, "What we witnessed was real." Too many things happened that simply couldn't be faked. Neighbors also corroborated events. One woman swore she saw Janet levitating through her window. A passerby claimed he heard guttural voices echoing in the night when he walked by the house. But the skeptics were relentless. Some journalists caught the girls bending spoons and even admitted to staging minor tricks. Janet herself later confessed that she and Margaret sometimes faked certain events, just to see if the investigators would catch us. Critics seized on that, arguing the entire haunting was an elaborate hoax. After all, the story brought national fame, constant press coverage, and even TV appearances. Yet even skeptics struggled to dismiss every piece of evidence. Police officers, neighbors, respected reporters, they all had nothing to gain by lying. And while the Hodgson children may have staged some incidents, many argue they couldn't possibly have orchestrated everything. For nearly 2 years, from 1977 to 1979, the Hodgsons lived under siege. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the activity slowed and finally faded. The family tried to move on, though the scars remained. Years later, Janet reflected, "There were times we faked things, yes, but the majority of it was real. I didn't want it to happen, but it did." To this day, the recordings and photographs remain among the most debated evidence in paranormal history. The Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most chilling and controversial hauntings ever recorded. On one hand, there are sworn police statements, photographic evidence, and hours of audio recordings. On the other, there are confessions of fakery, accusations of trickery, and skeptical experts insisting it was all imagination. So what was it? A desperate hoax by 2 clever schoolgirls craving attention? Or genuine proof that something otherworldly can reach across the veil and wreak havoc in our world? The truth may never be known. But that's what makes the Enfield case so powerful. It sits perfectly balanced between fact and folklore, between horror and hysteria. And whether you believe in ghosts or not, the story of the Hodgson family's ordeal still has the power to send shivers down the spine. What do you think? Was the Enfield Poltergeist real, or just an elaborate trick? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Unsolved Mysteries Archive for more chilling stories from the edge of the unknown.